Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. Are you running your life, or is your life running you? Because if you woke up today feeling overwhelmed, distracted, or like you're just spinning your wheels, then it's time for a hard reset. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Let's dive straight into the 10 strategies to get your life in order today. Most people drift through life without ever taking the time to define what they truly want. They wake up, go through the motions, and react to circumstances instead of shaping them. This happens not because they lack talent or potential, but because they lack clarity. When you're unclear about your goals, your actions become scattered, your energy becomes diluted, and you find yourself constantly busy but rarely productive. Clarity is what separates wishful thinking from intentional living. It is the starting point of all achievement and the foundation upon which every successful life is built. When you take the time to get specific about what you want down to the details, your brain begins to filter the world differently. You start seeing opportunities where before you saw noise. You notice people, ideas, and connections that align with your vision because your subconscious mind now has a target. This isn't magic, it's focus. The human brain thrives on direction, and when you give it a clear destination, it will begin to problem solve and make decisions that support your path. Clarity demands honesty. It's not about what sounds good on paper or what others expect from you. It's about tuning into your inner truth, cutting through the noise, and answering tough questions. What does success look like to you? What kind of life do you actually want to live? What kind of work sets your soul on fire? These questions aren't fluffy, they are essential. Because until you define what matters most, you'll keep chasing what matters least. Many people avoid this process because it forces them to confront uncomfortable truths. It's easier to stay vague. Vague goals don't hold you accountable. Vague dreams don't expose your fears or demand action, but they also don't come true. Clarity, on the other hand, is a mirror. It reflects back what you desire and what you're willing to do to get there. It simplifies your choices. It cuts through confusion. It makes decision-making faster, easier, and more aligned with your true purpose. One of the biggest myths people buy into is that they need to figure everything out before taking action. But clarity isn't about having every step planned, it's about knowing the direction. You don't need a full map to get moving. You just need a compass. And that compass is built from clear values, defined goals, and an honest assessment of where you are versus where you want to be. Clarity also protects your energy. When you know what matters, you stop wasting time on things that don't phase. You stop saying yes to everything. You stop getting pulled into distractions, drama, and decisions that don't align with your mission. Instead, you start living with intentionality. Your days become more focused. Your priorities become sharper. You start operating with purpose instead of pressure. Discipline is often misunderstood. People associate it with restriction, punishment, or a lack of freedom. But in reality, discipline is the very thing that creates freedom. Without discipline, life becomes chaotic. You constantly react to problems instead of preventing them. You chase motivation and wait for inspiration to strike, but those things are fleeting. Discipline, on the other hand, is stable. It's the steady hand that keeps you moving forward even when you don't feel like it. When you build structure into your day, you remove decision fatigue. You no longer waste mental energy on what to do next. You already know. Most people are overwhelmed not because they have too much to do, but because they lack systems to manage their time and energy. A disciplined person doesn't necessarily do more. They do what matters most. They create routines that prioritize their goals. They wake up with a plan. They allocate time for growth, health, relationships, and rest. And because of this, they're able to achieve more with less stress. Discipline brings order, it brings control, it brings clarity. It's not about grinding 24/7, it's about building a rhythm that supports your highest goal. There's power in routine. When your mornings are intentional, your entire day shifts. The first hour after you wake up sets the tone for everything that follows. If you start the day checking your phone, scrolling social media, and reacting to the world, you immediately put yourself in a defensive state. But when you create a disciplined morning routine, whether it's journaling, meditating, exercising, or reading, you reclaim control. You send a message to yourself that your time, energy, and attention are valuable. Discipline also sharpens focus. In a world full of distractions, your ability to stay locked in on what matters is your greatest asset. When you build habits around focus like time blocking, setting daily priorities, and removing distractions, you train your mind to stay present. This is where deep work happens. This is where real progress is made. Discipline turns good intentions into real results. It turns inspiration into execution. People often wait until they feel ready or motivated to start building discipline. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. Discipline is built through repetition. It's built through doing the small things even when you don't want to. And with time, those small decisions become habits. Those habits become identity. You no longer have to force discipline. It becomes who you are. It becomes automatic. That's when you experience the real freedom. You no longer fight yourself every day. You no longer rely on willpower. You've created a system that supports success. True discipline is flexible, not rigid. It adapts when needed, but always returns to center. It's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. Missing a day doesn't derail you because you've built a baseline of discipline that pulls you back on track. You learn to trust yourself. You build confidence. You become reliable in your own eyes, and that's where momentum comes from. Your environment plays a critical role in shaping your behavior, mindset, and ultimately your results. People often underestimate the influence of their surroundings, but the truth is, who you spend time with and what you expose yourself to on a daily basis has a profound impact on your progress. Success doesn't happen in a vacuum. It grows in the soil of the right environment. If your circle is filled with negativity, drama, distractions, or people who don't believe in growth, then you're going to be swimming against the current every day, even if you have the best intention. Your internal world is a reflection of your external world. If your space is cluttered, chaotic, or disorganized, chances are your thoughts and emotions are too. Cleaning up your environment isn't just about aesthetics, it's about clarity. A clean, focused space encourages clean, focused thinking. When your space is intentional, your actions become intentional. When your environment reflects your values, your choices begin to align more naturally with your goals. But even more powerful than your physical environment is your social one. The people around you either fuel your growth or drain your energy. Energy is contagious. Mindsets are contagious. Habits are contagious. If you surround yourself with people who are lazy, unmotivated, and stuck in victim mentalities, it's only a matter of time before you start thinking the same way. But when you're around individuals who are ambitious, positive, disciplined, and focused, it raises your standards. It pushes you to level up. You start to expect more from yourself simply by being in proximity to excellence. Sometimes creating the right environment means making hard decisions. It means distancing yourself from people you've known for years because you realize they're not helping you grow. It means setting boundaries with family or friends who constantly interrupt your focus or bring unnecessary negativity into your space. It means leaving certain places or situations that no longer align with who you're becoming. This is not about arrogance or cutting people off for no reason. It's about protecting your energy and prioritizing your future over temporary comfort. Creating a growth-oriented environment also means intentionally adding the right influences. This might look like joining mastermind groups, surrounding yourself with mentors, listening to podcasts, reading books, or attending events where success is the norm. It's about normalizing excellence. When greatness becomes familiar, it stops feeling unreachable. You begin to believe that it's possible for you too. The more time you spend in high-energy, high-standard environments, the more it reprograms your mindset for success. Your environment also includes what you consume, what you watch, what you read, what you listen to. If you're constantly feeding your mind with distractions, fear-based media, gossip, or mindless entertainment, you're not building a mindset for growth. But if you're intentionally feeding your brain with ideas that challenge you, expand your thinking, and remind you of what's possible, then you're creating fertile ground for progress. Action is the bridge between ideas and outcomes. No matter how well you plan, how inspired you feel, or how many books you read, nothing changes until you move. Many people get stuck in the planning phase of life. They spend days, weeks, sometimes years mapping out the perfect strategy, waiting for the stars to align, hoping that the right moment will reveal itself. But the truth is, clarity comes from action, not the other way around. You don't need to know every step to begin. You just need to take the next bold one in front of you. Bold action is different from busy work. It's not about being constantly active or filling your calendar with endless tasks. It's about doing the things that matter, the things that move the needle, the things you've probably been avoiding. A bold step might be making a difficult phone call, starting a new routine, confronting a fear, launching that idea you've been sitting on, or simply saying no to something that no longer serves you. These kinds of actions feel uncomfortable in the moment, but they're where real transformation begins. Most people know what they need to do. The problem isn't lack of knowledge, it's hesitation. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of not being good enough keeps them paralyzed. But what they don't realize is that hesitation is more damaging than failure. You can learn from a mistake. You can't learn from standing still. Every bold step forward builds confidence. Every time you take action despite fear, you prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort, that you can figure things out, that you're more capable than you thought. Momentum is built through movement. One small, intentional step each day compounds over time. You don't need to leap a mile, you just need to move an inch in the right direction. When you do this consistently, your mindset shifts. You begin to see yourself as someone who takes action, someone who follows through, someone who doesn't wait around for life to change. You make it change. This identity is powerful. It becomes self-reinforcing. The more you act, the more you believe in your ability to act, and the cycle continues. Bold action also reveals what works and what doesn't. It gives you feedback. You can't improve a strategy you've never implemented. The first step might not be perfect, and that's the point. Perfection is a trap. It keeps you refining, tweaking, analyzing instead of executing. But execution, imperfect, messy, courageous execution is what builds real progress. It teaches you faster than any plan ever could. Every time you avoid action, you reinforce fear. Every time you take bold action, you strengthen courage. You don't become confident and then act, you act and become confident. Courage is a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Taking one bold step each day doesn't just change your results, it changes your identity. It turns you from a thinker into a doer, from a dreamer into a builder, from someone who talks about potential into someone who lives it. Radical responsibility is the foundation of personal power. It means fully owning your life, the good, the bad, the wins, and the losses. It's the decision to stop blaming, stop waiting, and stop outsourcing your outcomes to other people's circumstances or luck. As long as you believe someone else is responsible for where you are, you've given away your power to change it. Responsibility isn't about guilt or shame, it's about control. It's about stepping into the role of the driver instead of sitting in the passenger seat hoping things will work out. When you take radical responsibility, you stop making excuses. You stop justifying why things aren't working. You stop pointing to your past, your parents, your boss, the economy, or your situation as the reason you can't move forward. Life isn't always fair, and you're not responsible for everything that happens to you, but you are responsible for how you respond. That distinction is everything, because your response is where your freedom lives. You can't always control your circumstances, but you can always control your choices. This mindset changes everything. When you adopt it, you're no longer waiting for motivation to appear. You build discipline instead. You're no longer waiting for someone to recognize your potential. You start proving it. You're no longer sitting around hoping something changes. You become the one who creates the change. Responsibility moves you from reaction to intention. It shifts your focus from what's wrong to what you can do about it. That's where real growth begins. Taking responsibility also means being honest with yourself. It's about facing the areas of your life that are out of alignment and refusing to pretend they're fine. It's easy to say you want success, but it takes courage to admit when you're not doing what's required to get there. Radical responsibility doesn't allow for victimhood. It doesn't allow for passivity. It calls you out and calls you up. It demands a higher standard, not because you're broken, but because you're capable of more. This principle extends to every area of life. your health, your relationships, your finances, your mindset. If something isn't working, it's not about placing blame. It's about asking better questions. What part did I play in this? What can I learn from this? What needs to change moving forward? These questions shift your energy from helplessness to action. They give you a way forward, no matter how stuck you feel. Radical responsibility also builds trust with yourself. When you know that you're the one who will show up no matter what, you stop looking for external validation. You stop needing approval to take the next step. You stop fearing setbacks because you know you'll keep moving. You become resilient, grounded, and focused. You become someone who leads, not someone who waits to be led. This level of ownership creates clarity. It creates momentum. It attracts other people who are operating on the same level because they can see that you're not here to play small. You're here to build something real, something lasting, something that reflects who you truly are.